Hey, we're the leaf cutters, here to lend a hand for novice cigar smokers with tips so grand. Not pros, but we'll guide you right in our Porch Cigar Lounge, light up the night. Reach out, chat along, smoke with us where you belong. So grab a cigar, come on and stay. In our back porch lounge, we'll show you the way. The leaf cutters, together we'll ignite. With tips and tricks, we'll light up your night.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Back Porch Lounge. We are the Leaf Cutters, and we are not professionals, but we are here to help. And tonight we have a awesome special guest. It is the VP of Sales and Marketing for Aganorsa, and that's Terence Rilley.
Thank you for having me.
Hey. All right, we're excited to have you on. We wanted to bring you on because ever since we've been introduced to your product, we have enjoyed everything we've smoked out of.
Wow.
And that's very rare for us. There's not a line, I think, maybe one other line that I know of that all of us have agreed on a cigar. Usually we have something, off about it for one of us or two of us, but Aganorsa has been right there for all of us as a, sturdy product, a great product, a good tasting product, something that we would go back and smoke over and over again. So that's why we definitely wanted to get you on this show.
You guys have excellent taste. When you're good,
Well, we appreciate that. So for today, we're going to start off. I don't know if Robert has a question for us today.
No, not really. I mean,
Okay, that's cool.
Maybe about Aganorsa, the line itself. I've read that you supply to other companies. I was wondering if you could even say who those companies are.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a secret or anything. It's there's companies that buy tobacco from us, and there's companies we make cigars for as well. So they're buying tobacco, Fuente, J.C. Newman, Drew Estate, Oliva, Espinosa, Roma Craft. And again, these are to varying degrees. Some buy more than others, but we sell to all of them. Over the years, we've sold to Padron, we've sold to Altadis. So a lot of people out there. And then we also make cigars for Illusion, for Viaje, for Warped, Sindicato, Black Star Lines, so on and so forth.
Oh wow! Yeah, you're right in there.
Yeah,
Cool.
The biggest part of the business is growing tobacco. It's much bigger than everything else.
You sell to Padron and Padilla too, don't you?
Padron in the past, and what was the other one?
Padilla?
Oh, Padilla. In the past, we've worked with Padilla. Not more recently. Same thing with Padron. I don't think we've sold to Padron in the recent past, but in the past we have. Yes.
Yeah, I think I was reading that. We try to do a little bit of homework. I suck at homework, so you get
I didn't get through college, so.
Hey, Joe Rogan does no research for his show. He likes to wing it. So you guys are following a great example.
I don't think we're quite on that level, but yeah, I appreciate being in good company, I guess. Oh man. So let me start off with the easy question for you. For you yourself, Terence, what was your first cigar?
My first cigar, premium cigar. I had like a Swisher Sweet in college once or something. I had a Fonseca Petite Bellicoso. It was a Fonseca Vintage Petite Bellicoso. And that was a while back. Basically, my uncle's Manuel Quesada, so he, Quesada Cigars, they did Casa Magna, many years they made Fonseca. And I spent the summer with him long before I was ever in the business. And on Sundays, I'd go over his house and everyone would be playing cards and eating and everything else, and then everyone was smoking cigars. So I started having a cigar on Sundays, And it was a Fonseca Vintage Petite Bellicoso.
Wow.
Awesome.
Starting off with good stuff right there.
That's some good lineage there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I went down there, I had, I just was going down to spend the summer and work in the factory, and I thought that would be kind of fun. If I didn't smoke cigars, I was much younger.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm kind of jealous. That would have been an awesome summer job. Here I was stuck working in a machine shop.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, the factory's, it's not, it's not crocheting. I mean, it's hot in there. And, especially they make me move around bales of tobacco, or you're in some of the fermentation rooms. So I wouldn't say it was all glory, but it was a pretty cool job, and it certainly gave me an appreciation for cigars. Like just working there, you start seeing how much goes into them, and so I was like, oh wow, look at all the hard work that it takes just to make one of these things. And then, like I said, the communal aspect on Sunday, sitting around having a cigar, talking. That's really what makes cigar special, is understanding the craftsmanship of it, and then enjoying them with friends and other good people.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up the Gibs question. What are you smoking today?
I'm smoking actually a JFR Super Toro Corojo, 6.5 by 52. It's a hot day out here, and I've been doing a lot of yard work lately, and JFR was always kind of meant to be, twice the value at half the price. And it's kind of like a go-to cigar for me. Anytime I'm not sure what I'm going to smoke, I grab a JFR.
Nice.
Very nice.
Zach was kind enough to swing by the local shop and pick a couple of Cerebus.
Oh, nice.
Starting the farms up for us, at least for Zach and I, because we're in Louisiana. Everybody else is in Georgia.
Where'd you pick them up from?
The Tobacco House.
Oh yeah.
Over here in Bossier,
Shreveport.
No, Shreveport.
Shreveport. I've been there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they've got a couple of nice little shops here. The big one's where all the fun stuff usually happens, but there's one real close to my house, so just pop out on lunch and grab some cigars.
No, I'll have to pass along. See, the good word to them. I've been to the big lounge one, and I've been to another one. Mm-hmm. I forget how many they have, but I've been to two. They have a smaller one that it doesn't really have a lounge. You basically go in and buy cigars and leave, and then they have a one with a big lounge.
Yep.
Yeah, the one near me is the smaller one. I think they have 3 or 4 locations, but they're probably my favorite shops in the area.
Yeah, I've heard really good things, but I don't get to see those because I'm in Georgia. But speaking about what we're smoking, we do. We have our own spot that we like. They don't get my favorite of the Aganorsa line, but they do have the Lunatic, and they usually carry a validation of one of the it's validation.
Yeah.
Of the Maduro, but I cannot get the Corojo.
Wait, which store is it?
Thick Ash Cigar in Noonan, Georgia.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you have to give them a hard time. I'll tell our rep to give them a hard time too. Good.
Because honestly, we were actually introduced to your line through Penny's Public it's Penny's Public House now, but it used to be Cigar Shenanigans.
Yeah, up in New Hampshire.
But Penny, she's a big sponsor of the show. We're a big fan of her.
Love Penny.
Yeah, and she's introduced us to Aganorsa through the Corojo, and all of us, that was what got us started. And then we thought that Aganorsa was just awesome from that point on.
Good old Penny.
So, good old Penny got us started on it. So you can thank her for that.
She'd also like me to tell you that today is the greatest day of her life.
Of our lives. We're not going to be selfish. Not just her.
We're not going to be jealous.
It's you guys too, me, all of us. It's the greatest day of our whole lives.
Nice. But speaking of what we're smoking, today I'm smoking the Aganorsa Connecticut, the Validation line.
Because it's all about validation.
Yeah, I got to validate.
All about validation.
I can't do it alone, guys.
I keep cracking jokes, man. I need validation.
We all need validation.
Always. What are you smoking there, Andy?
I already talked about mine and Zach, but we've got the Cerebus Guardian of the Farm.
I just wanted a nice picture of it.
I like how we have all our lines together. We got the Guardian of the Farm with the Cerberus, we got the Aganorsa Leaf with the Validation, and I've got the JFR here. So nice mix.
How about you, Grim?
Validation Maduro.
Nice. I had one of those last week.
Excellent selection as well.
Oh, yeah.
coming out
You
for this
think you could
episode,
come on our show and
Andy's
us all smoke an Aganorsa? Come on.
Well, it's all the different lines. We got Lunatic, JFR, Validation, Garden of the Farm. So it's not, we have the whole, portfolio, across everyone. So that's good.
So speaking of that, the JFR lines. For some reason, when I went in to talk to one of the tobacconists that I'm not used to dealing with, because I was trying to find the Corojo, because like I said, I can't get it at my local one.
Sure.
He was confused when I was asking for Aganorsa. He didn't realize that JFR was an Aganorsa line. I mean,
Well,
we know.
again, I have to yell at the rep.
You're getting people in trouble,
But
man.
to be fair,
Yeah.
to be fair, he wasn't the owner of the shop. It was somebody he had in there. So,
No, so in all seriousness, I mean, one of the things, so JFR, when I joined the company in 2017, JFR and Lunatic they've grown since, but they were strong lines to begin with. And most of the other lines we rebranded since then. JFR and the Lunatic, we've been hesitant to change too much because it sells as it is, and when you change things, people start saying the blend's different. And so you don't want to do that because you have this guy who's been smoking it for 25 years and you put an Aganorsa arm on it, and then suddenly they go, this isn't the same thing as it was yesterday. And so that's a common problem. So we've been very slow moving and incorporating any changes to the packaging for Lunatic or for JFR. And so sometimes, I mean, hopefully the store owner, but like, an employee, he may just be, it's not something he pays attention to. He just sees the cigars on the shelf. He prices them up. He's not really necessarily paying attention to who makes what and is that part of this line or that line. But the goal is to eventually have it be clear across the board on everything. And there's been, for instance, the boxes now, the newer boxes at least, have the Aganorsa arm on there. Somebody said they're smoking the Torch. On the Torch, there's a secondary band that has the Aganorsa arm. So there's been a progression towards incorporating that more. But on JFR and Lunatic, we tend to tread carefully because if you just change too much on packaging, people will swear to God it's different. And so you got to be really careful about that.
That makes sense.
yeah, that's completely understandable.
It's in a red box. It's got to taste redder.
Yeah, it's more meaty. It's more meaty.
It's more meaty.
It's raw. It's too raw. People actually, I mean, we're joking, but like if Sprite puts more than, I think they can go up to like 29%, but once they hit 30% of yellow in the packaging, people will complain it's too limiting. They'll say, oh, it's too limiting now. And it's just a packaging change. So it's actually, it's a real thing that people do based on like changes to how things look.
So that, and you had evidently studies done to actually see this.
Yeah, no, it's all out there. You can see all that kind of stuff. It's like how people perceive things and how temperature and how coloring and how the color schemes and numbers and everything. All that stuff plays a role in how people perceive things, and they don't think it impacts them, but it does.
Yeah,
And that's why he's in marketing and we're in IT.
Yeah, well, that's important too. Trust me, that's important
true.
too.
That's true. Well, the only thing I know about that particular subject is I know that McDonald's has red and yellow because it associates with food. Ketchup and mustard kind of makes you hungry.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Restaurants have red a lot in them. It makes you hungry when you see red. So there's a whole science behind all that stuff.
It's wild when you
That's
actually
why I get
dig
hungry
in
looking at this
into it.
ashtray.
Pretty much.
Makes sense.
They sucker me
Um,
every time.
I know. I think isn't the Validation line kind of your baby?
So a lot of the rebranding stuff I've been certainly a lot involved in. Again, we had a line called Casa Fernandez that had several versions of it, and again, there's a lot of Casas and there's a lot of Fernandezes in the business, and so it was very confusing. It was the brand had, it was before, for instance, AJ Fernandez, and it was before, but like it just was confusing. People would say, "Oh, I love AJ. He makes the Casa Fernandez, Miami, which is what we make," or they'd be smoking our cigar and they'd go, it'd be their cigar and they would say it was us or whatever it was. So that was a little confusing. And so when I joined the company, I was like, the thing that really makes us special is the tobacco that we grow. That's why people buy tobacco from us. That's why people have cigars made with us. That's why, people smoke the brands that we have. We should really make that the focus of the company. So the emphasis has been moving everything towards the signature flavor of the leaf. And again, just as a point that's a genuine thing is, you guys mentioned in the beginning, like, oh yeah, we all like your cigars and everything we try, we like. And with Aganorsa, we're kind of like a bourbon bar, if you like bourbon, for instance. Like there's all different types of bourbon. There's wheated bourbons and cask strength and everything else. But if I have a bottle of bourbon that you've never had before, and I go, hey, would you like to try this bourbon? You would know what you're getting into. It may be more or less your favorite, but it wouldn't taste like vodka. It wouldn't taste like rum. It would taste like bourbon. And Aganorsa kind of is like that, for better or worse. On the plus side, anytime you have our product, you always know kind of what you're getting into. And on the downside, if you don't like kind of our signature flavor, buy something else, because there's not going to be much for you, So that's the pros and cons of it. But yeah, that's really where all the emphasis has been in the marketing the past few years, is bringing out the focus onto the leaf itself, the signature flavor it has, and that's a genuine and real thing that we cultivate and develop, and sets us apart.
Oh, absolutely. Because even when we've done shows in the past and we talked about Aganorsa with other podcasters, they brought up the fact that you have a unique flavor, and we call it the Aganorsa flavor because we can't identify it as
that name.
The flavor. It's the Aganorsa flavor.
It's on brand.
Yeah, it's on brand, and it's a good flavor. So it's like, we call it the Aganorsa flavor because we can't identify it, but it's a good taste. So yeah, you've done well, and in each of the lines you can still have that taste at just different degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's our expression of a Connecticut, our expression of a Maduro, our expression of this style or that style. So again, there's all sorts of different tastes. It's not like it's just like in bourbon. I mean, you like some bourbons more than others, and some are fairly radically different than other ones you've had. But there is some continuity between them all in the sense that it's, there's a certain amount of corn that's aged a certain number of years. It's got it's aged in a barrel that's virgin American oak, and so there's these certain factors that are always present, but you can still create a ton of different variety and expressions.
Absolutely. So, Andy did some digging on you.
Oh God!
And
I didn't do it.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to bring up any criminal records.
Oh, thank God.
No, I didn't dig that deep.
I was framed.
No, you were saying that you actually come from a history background for that was your college major?
Yeah, so I was undergrad history, and then I was classical history, Roman Greek history, MA, and from Exeter in England. So that's what.
How did you go from like a master's in Greek Roman history to VP marketing and sales at a cigar, in the cigar manufacturing, environment?
Well, it took a while. I originally had wanted to be
fast.
Yeah. I wanted to be a professor, and I really liked history, and I liked that particular field of history or that period of history. And the thing is after I completed my master's, one is I really did not have the pedigree to get a PhD, to be a professor at like a high level university. Like most of the guys that are classics majors, they have a background in German and French. Sometimes Italian as well, and then my Latin was pretty good, and my Greek was, and so I just didn't have the background. So that was part of it, and also really it gets very, very pedantic. They start going, there's this piece of Roman glass from the late or early imperial period, and it gets super into minor details, and you get focused more and more into a specific period and focus on stuff that's really, again, for lack of a better word, pedantic. So what I liked about the classical world was kind of the philosophy of it and the thinking behind it and the literature. And I kind of had gone as far as I could go, I guess, in that. And they weren't beating down the doors. They're like, quick, somebody, we need a classics professor, that wasn't a major calling at the time. So I kind of said, listen, I'm going to take a break. So I decided not to pursue a PhD. And then I actually taught Latin for 2 years just to kind of do something. And then I got into sales, and then my uncle at one point was like, hey, you worked for us that summer. You're in sales. Would you like to come work for us? And so I said yes. And I moved to Dominican Republic, and I lived there for about a little less than a year, but around a year. And then I came to the States, and I started working for the family in Miami, doing sales, and became national sales manager there. And then into 2017, I came to Aganorsa, and I've been with Aganorsa ever since as VP of Sales and Marketing.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, bravo.
Oh, thank you.
Bravo.
And we like to call it that you became the face of Aganorsa, really, because everything we see Aganorsa has your face associated with it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, geez.
How does that
feel? No, well, again, the goal is, again, obviously, because I'm out there, it does help if people, have heard of me or know who I am or something like that. That certainly help. But the goal really is to, I hope someday I walk into a shop, everybody's smoking Aganorsa, and nobody has any idea who I am. They're like, who's this guy? So the goal is really to build it up, obviously beyond me. I obviously appreciate that people recognize me or follow me or that's how they got into Aganorsa is because of an experience that I did, at an event or whatever that I was there. So that's certainly my job. But yeah, the end goal is to basically, to be quite frank with you, turn you guys into the acolytes of Aganorsa. You go out there and preach the gospel of it, they eventually don't even know who I am. It's kind of like Fight Club, At the end, they didn't even know who Tyler Durden was. He was just some name.
We don't talk about Fight Club.
It's that's kind of the goal. Is that you really want to have people understand and appreciate it for what it is. And I could be shot out of a cannon tomorrow, and that would be the end of me. The brand will continue. So we want the brand to stand on its own 2 feet.
Sell tickets to that. I'm sure somebody will watch it.
That's for sure.
There's a cannon. Let's go.
Yeah.
So was the Cerberus name, was that from your history past, or did someone else come up with that?
A little bit. I would always try to use stuff like that over the years. When I was at when I was at Casado working for my uncle, I had there was a brand called Domus Magnus and Optimus Primus and some of them were named after. Yeah, so Optimus means best and Primus means number one, but Optimus Primus, what does that sound like? It's not, So I would always have to try to have a double meaning in things, So and then there was, name stuff after Roman emperors. In the case of Cerberus, it just kind of really worked out. Is that one, Cerberus uses all our cigars utilize Corojo 99 and Corojo 98. The Cerberus has the wrapper of Corojo 2012, so it has a third type of tobacco that we're not really using on much else right now. So each of the heads stands for one of the tobaccos. We have the brand Guardian of the Farm, which is about dogs, and then they actually had the trademark for the brand Cerberus. So I was like, oh, this is perfect, So I got to use some mythological references, and we had the trademark, and it fit in with the brand and everything. So yeah, it was nice to be able to use that.
Cerberus was a guardian, wasn't he? He was the guardians of the gates of hell.
Yeah, he made sure that none of the souls escaped.
Yeah, the underworld, not hell.
Yeah,
underworld.
Yeah, Hades.
That's it. Trying to get it right.
Well, hell,
Thanks
Hades.
for saving me, sir.
Yeah, it's all the same thing.
So does the Corojo
dark and warm?
Oh, sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question about the tobacco in this. So the Corojo 2012, is that just a line of or a seed of tobacco, or is that related to the age? Or
yeah, no, it's so the original Cuban Corojo in the 70s was decimated by blue mold, and it almost wiped out Cuban tobacco. So the Cubans after that started working to have variants that were disease resistant, better yield, better ferment better, better wrapper quality, whatever, all different qualities. And they're always named after the year Cuba started commercially utilizing them. So there's Habano 92, Corojo 99, Corojo 98, Habano 2000, Corojo 2006, 2012, Corojo 2018. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and they're just named after the year that they first started being commercially utilized in Cuba. Some of them last. Criollo 98 used a lot of places, Nicaragua, certainly, Dominican Republic, Honduras. Corojo 99, we're the only major growers of it that I'm aware of left out there. So it just depends. Some of them last and some of them don't for various reasons. But they're always named after the year that they were first commercially utilized in Cuba. It's like kind of like their debut in Cuba was that year, and so that's how they get their name.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I've learned something new today.
Yeah, I wondered about. So we went. Andy and I went to Aganorsa event at Tobacco House, and we did a Corojo 99 and 98 tasting.
The fluid tasting.
Separate. Yes, we did that, and it was awesome. That's the first time I've ever done that, and kind of got a glimpse into what might be involved in blending, and went, oh, this is way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
For sure.
Yeah, but I wondered if at that time, if maybe it was like the 99th iteration, or if it was the year. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's always in reference to the year. And those two tobaccos, the ones you tasted, the 99 and the 98, are in everything we do. It's like the sugar and the butter and the cake. They're always present. And so you kind of get the taste in our Aganorsa Experience events. Okay, this one imparts this flavor, this one imparts that. Now you combine them, you kind of do it the Cheech and Chong style where you smoke them at the same time, and you see how it kind of becomes I always say 1 + 1 is 3. So the two of them combine and create a greater impact on your palate than either of them by themselves because they combine well. And so that's always a fun thing to do with people because it opens up a lot of people, no matter how long they've been smoking, haven't done something like that before. And it's fairly simple that even if you get a guy that's not necessarily hardcore into learning about cigars or tobacco, they can do that and they can still get something out of it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I kind of want to do another one of those.
Yeah, I do too.
Just because.
Yeah, we do it with 2012 as well, but only if they have the Cerberus usually. We don't always do it with the 2012. And that imparts another, character.
For sure.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit here, Terrence.
There we go.
Let's talk about social media.
Got it.
So, on social media, we post a lot of pictures of Aganorsa cigars.
Yes.
And we've been getting a lot of responses back validated. What's that all about?
So, again, it's one of these things that's an actual thing that I've kind of made into more of a fun thing. Is that when I joined the company, we'd get a shipment in, and Paul Palmer, the president of the company, he'd say, "Okay, Terrence, let's go validate it." And so you'd open up a box of something that arrived randomly. You'd look at the box, you'd make sure it looks right. The wrappers look, they're the same color, they're not stained, they're pristine looking. And then you'd take the cigar out, you'd make sure it feels right, you cut it, light it, smoke it, make sure the jaw, burn, flavor's all there. And he'd say that, that's validating the shipment, which is a real thing we do. But I also thought it was just a funny thing to say if you're smoking a cigar to make it sound like you're doing something more important. So then, if I wanted to smoke something, I just wanted to smoke something, I would say, "Oh, I'm going to go validate this," And and so that kind of just became a thing that, validating this, validating that. And it's actually great. This guy, he actually sent me a picture of a text conversation between him and his wife, where it was his day off, and she's like, "Honey, I know it's your day off, but would you mind running a couple errands for me?" And he wrote back, "I'm validating right now." And she goes, "Oh, okay. Let me know when you're done." And like, she didn't know what that was. So if he had said, "I'm smoking a cigar," he might have been, cut short from the festivities. So it's so we always put validated, and that's even where the validation line came from. And again, like I said, there is a genuine, like, we really do that. Stuff comes in and we really do an analysis of it, and we call that validating. But it's also fun to say that you're out there having a cigar on a Sunday, and it's work. I can't do it alone, guys. I need you guys validating as well. It can't be just me.
We enjoy doing it, so I don't think that's a problem.
No, perfect. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
So about where are we at on our cigars, guys? About halfway?
I'm almost halfway.
I might be halfway.
All right, let's give a halfway review. So mine, the Connecticut, it's great. I mean, I don't know what freaking else to say.
Done. It's great.
I was trying to think of something like, intelligent to say about it, but I'm like, damn it, it's another great one. I love the smoke output on it. There's no film in my mouth, which that is a big thing for me. If I have a film in my mouth, it takes me right out of the cigar. I don't like it. No film in my mouth, so I love it. The taste of it, it has that Aganorsa taste to it that I like. It's not as strong as like the Corojo or the Maduro, but it does have the taste to it and that I enjoy. So it's an enjoyable cigar. Another one I'm recommending already at half. I hadn't even finished it, but I'm already enjoying the hell out of it. So there you go. How about you, Andy?
Not being my first guardian of the farm. All right, so let me try that again. It's Aganorsa. Of course, I already like it. But I don't.
Good so far.
I was going. Yeah, good so far. I was going through a bag of. What do you do with your cigar bands when you're done with them? You at this point, I'm putting them in bottles, and I was going through some, and I saw that I had this particular cigar recently may not be the right word, but I don't remember having had it. So I'm digging it. It's got good draw. It tastes good. I don't really want to put it down, but I'm trying not to smoke it and be done within the first 30 minutes of starting a call, because I didn't bring 6 others to smoke this afternoon.
I do.
But other than that, I'm loving it. So, you're not going to hear me complain at all. And I'm learning stuff, so we're good.
Absolutely.
I kick it
How
to
about you,
Grim.
Graham?
Meh.
There, man.
This is how we don't have visitors come again, because I just be a smart ass. Yeah, no, actually, I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. It's good.
Classic Grim. It's good.
Classic Grim. It's good.
That's all I got.
We've been
It's
called
high
worse by
praise.
better people. Don't worry.
This is the first Cerberus I've had. I have had a Guardian of the Farm, which I remembered enjoying, but I actually didn't know it was an Aganorsa cigar at the time. I think that may have actually been my first Aganorsa cigar. But I remember it being like good. I just don't recall what I liked about it specifically. This definitely has the Aganorsa vibe, and like Andy was saying, I'm having a hard time putting it down and enjoying the hell out of it.
So far, so
Yeah.
good. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm. So far, so good. See? And
That's it. I'm done. I quit. No, I'm kidding.
no, and these are general reactions. We're not doing this just because you're here, Terrence, even though we should, because you were nice enough to come on our show. But we're not like that. We're pretty much on the same par as Grim. Is like, if we don't like it, we'll say we don't like it.
I have done that
Again-
before in a serious fashion, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. That's always the key. At the end of the day, you either like it or you don't.
That's right. And these have not disappointed
yeah.
as of yet.
This
So
has
that's
been
awesome.
pretty good so far, man. I'm enjoying it. Got a weird tingle on my lips. I don't know if that's normal.
That's the booze.
That's a special cigar.
shit. Forgot. Ah.
Speaking of pairings, who's pairing today with their cigar?
Oh,
The only beer I'm pairing with today is root beer. So
I got
Just water
the
for me
trusty
today.
Dr. Pepper.
23 flavors of awesomeness.
I'm telling you, Dr. Pepper will pair with almost any cigar. It's amazing how it does that.
it's hot today, so I was gonna have a soda water, but I left it in the freezer, and now it's probably exploded. So, nothing.
Well, you can just eat it like a popsicle now.
That's true.
I mean, it'd be kind of odd for a show, but I mean, you do what you got to do.
Have them just like
Well,
pick up
it'd be
little pieces.
different.
we don't judge. We're that kind of show.
Yep, we don't judge. We might
don't
watch in awe, but we won't judge.
It's a judgment-free zone.
That's right.
Every time.
So I do
This
have
show
a
is-
kind of along the lines of the social medias and everything. I do have kind of a long-winded question for you. So, besides the fact that Aganorsa is fully processed by Aganorsa from seed to ash, your leaves have been rolled in cigars for Illusion, Padron in the past, Padilla, which you've taught me how to say that correctly now, just to name a few, and the fact that it takes 2 seed varieties in 2 different soils in 2 different regions of Nicaragua to get that are blended together to get that signature Aganorsa taste. All I really want to know is, did you at least like the original Deadpool movies since you didn't like the new one so much?
I haven't seen the original ones. I read the comics. I've liked the original Deadpool limited series. I know the character Deadpool. It's not that the character. The movie. The problem for me with the movie isn't that it like fails. It's not like it's like Waterworld or something like that. That like it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It was just like Instagram reels. It was like a bunch of Instagram reels, and they were like, listen, we're gonna do some stuff just to hold your attention and make as much money on this as we can. And yeah, like it's not that things weren't done well, like the fight scenes were done well, or there was some jokes or whatever. But the whole thing was done in a way to like maximize like the financial bottom line basically, and I didn't feel that they were. I felt it was like it wasn't like they're like, oh, Deadpool's like, yeah, Deadpool's kind of like that. Like it's kind of like, yeah, he looked like Deadpool and he made some sarcastic jokes like Deadpool, but I I thought it was like it went beyond that in a lot of situations, and it's kind of like the latest trilogy of Star Wars. The first episode was kind of like it's like, okay, they were checking boxes for things. It's like, okay, we've got to have Princess Leia, check, and then they're like, oh, here's like this thing, check. And it was like they just wanted to make sure that like everything was there to make as many people happy as possible and maximize like how much money they can make on it. And that's what I didn't like about it. And so everyone can have their own opinion on it. I have no problems with anybody enjoying the movie. Obviously I'm on the minority. It's making a whole bunch of money. But like I don't believe like and again, I mean, it's really more of a sign of the times. Like movies are basically now made. They're so expensive to make, and the insurances and everything. You're like 100 million in before you can start making money. That they have to have like these movies that try to do so many different things so that they can get as many people in the box office as they can. There's no DVDs anymore. That ruined everything. No DVDs ruined the movies because that's where they would make money. They would make money on the back end with the DVDs, so they could take risk on the film itself. And there's a ton of movies that like, would have been total failures had it not have been for, video sales. Like movies like Fight Club and Big Lebowski and all these types of movies couldn't possibly have made any money purely on the theatrical release. And so that's how it is now. So it's more what the movie represents to me than it is anything personal about the movie. I wasn't in the movie like, oh my God, I can't believe that. It just wasn't. It just wasn't like. I guess I'm getting old. Yeah. It wasn't my type of movie.
So the only follow up I have to go with that is, did you at least like the soundtrack?
Yeah, soundtrack was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
I
positive.
haven't seen it yet, but I've heard Like a Virgin and Bye 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 so far have been huge hits for that one.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was well done. Like they did what they were trying to do very well. Like it was well done in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just that's not. I don't go to the movies for that.
So I'm gonna take your words and abuse them a little bit.
There you go.
But to me, it sounds a lot like the way maybe Grim and I felt when Disney bought Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's no longer, 20th Century Fox did the first couple of movies really, really well for Deadpool. And then, of course, Disney bought 20th Century Fox and now owns Marvel and blah, 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 blah. And they turned it into they're trying to turn it into a Disney money maker, which is what they did to Star Wars. And as long as they don't come out with another 16 Deadpool iterations in the next 3 years, maybe we'll be okay.
Yeah, I would say that's basically it. Like, to me, like, just because those are the characters doesn't mean it really is the movie. Like, you know, so Disney bought Star Wars, and to me, what they did is not Star Wars. It's like if I use the example. It's like if you see a snuff film and they're dressed up like Deadpool and stuff. Like that's not Deadpool. Like that's somebody that's got a costume on that is, you know, using that image to get people to watch his film, which is not really about Deadpool, you know. And so I don't know. It just didn't, you know, do it for me. But like, yeah, I would say your synopsis there is a good one.
So
I mean, David Jones now.
Well, if you do go back and watch the original Deadpool and the second one, to me, Deadpool feels more like Deadpool in those two. I think it had a little bit more free reign, a little bit more toward the character. But I agree. I don't think anybody's ever going to nail Deadpool, the comic, because they were able to do so much in that comic that would never be translated to screen ever.
I don't know. Well, there was plenty of gratuitous violence in this past version. Just saying.
Yeah, but did it involve the zombies of, you know, former presidents and everything else like that, or, you know,
not in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. They did some crazy stuff in the Deadpool comic book series that I don't think they could actually put on screen without.
Also, I haven't read the character in the comic could have evolved. I mean, like Wolverine doesn't smoke cigars in the comics anymore. So like the characters.
Not anymore. Yeah, you're right.
The characters could be different than I remember them. But I have the first X-Force. I think I have the first appearance of Deadpool. I had the Deadpool Limited. Again, this is going back over 20 years, 25 years ago, more maybe 30 years ago. So I may not even have an accurate, understanding of the characters anymore.
No, I'm talking about the original Deadpool, not anything new.
Okay, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm back more towards older Deadpool when he was introduced. Yeah,
New Mutants 92, I think it was.
There you go.
98? Okay, yeah. 98. There you go. I was close.
Sorry, my nerd came out.
Grim didn't even have to look it up.
This is when the nerd needs to come out, Grim.
We need the nerd.
Yeah. But yeah, I had to throw that out there because when Andy brought that up, I was just like, that's got to be funny. But at least in my question was I factual about all the other stuff because, I try to do some background check.
Was I right about the lead-in?
Yeah.
I nailed the lead-in. Yes.
What's it called? In a movie where like the lead-in is just like to move the plot along, a MacGuffin? Yep. MacGuffin, right? Mm-hmm. MacGuffin. That was kind of a MacGuffin, It was like this whole lead-in that had nothing to do with what followed.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure I got a lot of Aganorsa stuff in there before I just completely flip the script on you and ask you something completely off topic.
There you go.
That way it's fair,
So, fair. when we started this podcast and we started doing reviews of cigars and whatnot, we struggled for a couple of months with the Aganorsa. I can't even say it wrong. Dang it, Zach, help me out.
Aganorsa.
Aganorsa.
Yeah.
Aganorsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aganorsa.
Oh, I haven't used that one yet.
Yeah. There's a few different ones.
But to settle the debate for anybody that happens to potentially watch this particular podcast, it's Aganorsa.
Aganorsa,
right?
Yes. It stands for Agricola Ganadera Norteña S.A., which means basically Nicaraguan Farming and Ranching Company. That's all. Because it's not only tobacco. They also have cattle farms, pig farms, rice farms. They have a whole bunch of other agricultural stuff, including tobacco. So that's the name of the company. So Aganorsa is not that hard when after you try to say Agricola Ganadera Norteña S.A.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with Aganorsa.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch. I'm going to have to get the slower version of this later.
Yeah.
Gibs, slow that down in post, would you?
Yeah. I'm going to have the phonetics at the bottom as well. Like, this is how you do it. I'm not going to say it, but this is how you do it.
So how old is the company?
Company it was started in 97 or 98. I have to check off the top of my head. So the story is actually kind of interesting. Eduardo Fernandez, the owner, is Cuban. I mean, in some ways it's similar to other stories in this business, and in other ways it's unique. It's similar in the sense Eduardo Fernandez is a Cuban guy. There's a lot of those. And he left Cuba in the early 60s after his family very generously donated everything to the Cuban government, like a lot of people did. And
Very
then,
generous.
yeah, they're givers. And then he grew up in South Florida, so that's kind of a common story, like the, Cuban person that goes to South Florida after Castro. That's a pretty common story. But that's kind of where the similarity ends. His family was not involved in tobacco, and he grew up. He went to Wharton School of Business. He was in banking in Miami. And in the 80s, he and his brother decided to take kind of the Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars, that style of pizza delivery to Spain. And they created a company called Telepizza. And it was the first of its kind in Spain. And this is like the late 80s, I believe. And so it really took off. It was a huge success. They're still there to this day. They're all over Europe. They're in Spain. They're in Poland. I think they even have them in South America now. And so in 6 or 7 years, they were able to sell the business for a potload of money. And at that point, he could kind of do whatever he wanted. And he'd always liked agriculture, he liked farming. He liked that part of the. And to this day, that's the part of the business he likes. I wouldn't have a job if he liked this part of the business. So he went to Nicaragua and started investing in cattle, in pigs, rice farms, and tobacco. And on the tobacco side, because he didn't have the experience, he actually went to Cuba and he brought back a bunch of Cuban agronomists that worked for Cuba Tobacco, and they were in their late 50s, early 60s, and they kind of were like semi-retired because they weren't party members. And like, for instance, the biggest name of the bunch was a gentleman named Arsenio Ramos. And Arsenio had been in charge of fermentation and leaf processing in Pinar del Rio, Cuba, which is the most prestigious region of Cuba for Cuban tobacco. And because he wasn't a party member, he kind of was in semi-retirement. Because he couldn't be a party member. When you fill out the form to join the Communist Party, there's a whole bunch of questions. And one of the questions is, do you believe in God? And in a communist country, the correct answer is no. and he believed in, and he was a man of faith and didn't feel right to say that he didn't believe in God. And so they kind of were like, okay, well, come back next year. Thanks for being here. And he couldn't join the party. So when Eduardo met him, he was kind of semi-retired. And Eduardo convinced them to come to Nicaragua. He was basically like, listen, this is not some Mickey Mouse operation I'm really trying to do something great on a grand scale. And so he and a whole bunch of other guys, he brought him over to Nicaragua. In fact, there was like rumors at first that Cuba was starting a growing operation in Nicaragua because all these Cuban guys all of a sudden showed up, started growing tobacco. And so the Cigar Aficionado even like came down to do a story about it because they're like, why are these Cuban people suddenly down here? Growing tobacco. And so, and that's how this company started off. It started off purely as a growing operation.
Interesting. And leading into that, since, us here in Georgia, I don't know about the guys in Louisiana. I don't know if they've seen it yet, but your new line, Arsenio.
Yes.
It's based off of him, isn't it?
Yeah. So Arsenio spent the last 20 years of his life working with us. He's really responsible for the signature flavor and aroma that Aganorsa is known for. He really was the driving force behind that. And he passed in 2018. He was with us almost 20 years. And we always, since then, have wanted to come out with a cigar in his honor. COVID obviously kind of threw a wrench in some of this as well. And at first it was going to be a new blend. And then we just finally said, well, why don't we just use a blend he liked? And he had liked this blend in a Corona size. And so we decided to take that blend and make it in the Corona, which is the size he liked, and as well as the Robusto Toro. And obviously it didn't have a band on it when he smoked it, but we presented it in a presentation that's worthy of his importance to the company, and it just came out this last couple months finally.
Yeah, so I'll probably never get it. So guys in Louisiana, send me one when you do get it.
We'll just call Penny when she's,
That's true. We can
call Penny up. See if she's got it.
Penny.
We'll call Penny.
La Casa del Tabaco, and that's in the Atlanta area. They have it. Mm-hmm. I could find some people that have it for you.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, you probably have a finder like a lot of other, companies have.
Yeah.
My problem is I have to travel like an hour or plus just to go get a cigar.
Yeah.
So it's usually if I'm in the area, I might drop in and say, okay, I know they have this, let me get it. But, I like to go hang out with my local tobacconists. I like to promote my local people.
Of course.
So, I give my tobacconist a hard time because he does have a smaller humidor, but he has an excellent environment. I love the environment there. I love hanging out there. It's a great place. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm glad. I wish more people. The world's changing, and now I mean I know I've met people now that they started smoking cigars during COVID. They've never even been in the shop, and for me, one of the most attractive parts of the business is being in a shop. I mean, being in a shop and the conversations and the in some ways how shops are unique, and in other ways they're all the same. Like there's always that guy that you can't sit in his chair. There's the guy they don't want touching stuff. There's the guy that like knows everything about everything. Like or the woman, whatever, but then every shop has its own kind of unique character to it as well, and you see a different thing, and so that's to me that's the you're preaching to the choir. I love cigar shops, and I think we should promote people hanging out and having cigars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I used to for sure.
Go ahead.
You haven't traveled for a living at one point in my long and storied career of IT. It was always a goal to find a shop and to go sit, because I go sit in somebody else's office for 7 or 8 hours, 2 or 3 days in a row, working on working on their issues or replacing their equipment. And there's one in Baton Rouge that comes to mind, and I can't remember the name of it, but I would literally leave that office, walk around the corner, and go to the cigar shop, sit for like 2.5 hours, smoking a cigar and talking to people that, you got the guy that's got his, hey, you're in my chair, would you move? And that's my ashtray.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, whatever.
And by the way, I'm not making fun. Like that, those guys kind of give the shop character too. You know what I mean? Like
they do.
That's part of the fun is that those people exist. So I wasn't.
Or that those guys never leave their chair.
Yeah. Some of them. It's funny. During COVID, a retailer told me, he goes, to be honest with you, a couple of these guys, I'm not even sure they like cigars. I just don't think they have anywhere else to go. Like he had a customer that would come every day to the shop. It was in New York, and like he's like, I can't let you in. I can sell you cigars, but I cannot let you in right now because New York was obviously more restrictive than other places.
Lockdown, yeah.
And the guy would show up every day, and then he wouldn't buy anything unless he could come in and sit. And so he would just leave. And, okay, I'll try back tomorrow. He's like, I'll call you and tell you when you could go. But like
don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, but again, like that's part of the fun. A cigar shop's a really interesting place. It's the discussions you have in them, the people you meet, the relationships you build, and it's characters, and so that's fun. There's all sorts of different people, and it's not boring. That's for sure. It's never boring.
No,
absolutely, and that's one of the things that we do talk about on this show is like, look, go visit your local cigar shops. You're going to learn stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to meet different characters. Talk to your tobacconists. Get to know the products. Find out what you like. It is so much easier to do all of these things in one place. I mean, yeah, you can get on here and look at our show and get some tips and tricks and have fun with us too if you want to. That's great. Please do. But it's also fun to go and learn firsthand. In these shops.
Yeah, and by the way, think about it like in the sense of like, oh, you need a dentist, you need a new car, you need IT work. There's some guy in there that knows that stuff, and usually will help you out or hook you up or whatever. Yep. So it's beyond just the the one-stop shop for cigar information and knowledge and things like that. It's got a lot of other stuff in there because the people that are in there tend to. It's an amazing thing in a way because, like I said, I always joke that like you were in a bar and some guy was like, "Oh, what are you drinking? Bourbon? Oh, have you ever had an old fashioned? Let me get you an old fashioned. I'll buy one for you." You'd be like, "Is this guy trying to steal my wallet?" You'd think that would be a weird thing that somebody would say something like that. Like
watch your drink. Watch your drink.
Yeah. But at a cigar shop, that would be a totally normal thing for somebody to be like, "Oh, what are you smoking? Oh, you like that? Here, I just bought a bunch of these. Try this." Like that's it's a really cool thing that cigar. There's that camaraderie amongst cigar aficionados that is really, it's really special.
It really is.
They call it a brotherhood, sisterhood of of the leaf per se for a reason. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and most of the time these people are friendly. They're friendly as hell. So they want to get to know you.
Except for Zach.
Yeah.
Well, there's always one. It can't all be glory,
right? We've talked a ton about Aganorsa, but and this is one of the questions we kind of threw together earlier in the week. Outside of Aganorsa, Terence, what else do you enjoy smoking?
Outside of Aganorsa made brands, you mean, right? You said nothing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Aladino a lot. They make great cigars. I love Plasencia. I worked with Plasencia when I was at Casada for many years, and I have tremendous respect for them as people. And then also I love their cigars. The stuff that they're doing is great. Again, obviously my family in the Dominican, some of those brands are still around that I was involved in, so I have obviously a bias there. And then for every company, there's like a cigar. I'll have an Intemperance from Roma Craft. I think that's a great cigar. Espinosa.
Yes,
Naranj.
it is.
That's a great cigar. Saka. I like that Tricky Chaka. So like I would say there's very few companies that I don't think have a cigar that I think is really an outstanding cigar. There's a few, but for the most part, I think everybody's out there really trying to do their best to create a great product, and they use their own sensibilities to do that. And I usually find something that I really enjoy and appreciate.
God, you sound like us.
Awesome.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's good, right?
I like all this stuff.
It may not be good for you, but it's good for us. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you also, it's consider it market studies, right?
Yeah. No, one, I enjoy it. And then two, let's say it's a cigar that's popular. Okay, why is it popular? Let's see why people like this. Is it because of the strength? Is it because, what does it look like? What's the packaging? What's the price point? You look at all that stuff, you learn a lot, and how people do things, and you watch why people are successful. You understand how they're successful, and you kind of say, okay, well, how does that apply to us? And some things, a company does, and there's no way that, we could do that. That it wouldn't work. And other times, you see something and be like, that's something that could be implemented in our own way, in a different way, but in a way that would work with us. And you learn from other people. And I don't have that many good ideas, to be honest with you. I mostly just listen to our consumers, our retail partners, our companies. And then what I do is, if it works, I take credit for it. And if it doesn't, I blame others. It's worked so far,
That's
guys.
why we have reps.
Yeah, it's worked like a charm.
That's why I have VP in my name.
Yeah.
So speaking of studies, and speaking of pairing, going back to pairing, have you done any studies with pairing of your cigars? Like, have you tested to see if, certain things go well with certain cigars in your lines?
What I found, generally speaking, is that what you like goes with what you like. So let me start off with that. Because I hear people say all sorts of things that to me are crazy, and then they love them. So like, I've seen guys smoke very mild cigars with like Lafroig Scotch, and it's like, that doesn't sound like it would go together. Or certain types of beers with other types of cigars that I'd be like, man, that wouldn't be me. But everyone's palate's different, and people, whatever they kind of like in the world of whether it's alcohol or just beverages, tends to pair well with what they like in cigars. That said, obviously for non-alcoholic, black coffee I think is an awesome pairing for any cigar, ours included. Yep. And then I find myself pairing our cigars most with bourbon and Scotch. I would say that's the pairing I do the most, especially Scotch. And bourbon is kind of, you have to be a little bit more. They're great pairings, but not everything is a great. Whereas Scotch is kind of, at least non-peated Scotch it's a good bet. Whereas like bourbon, you have to kind of look at the specific pairing more. If you're looking at the Booker's, that's going to be a different pairing than Weller, for instance. I don't think you could interchangeably use those for the same cigar and have equally good experience. Scotch, I find that you can move a lot of Scotches around and still have the same experience. Not that the Scotch doesn't taste different, but just stylistically, it still works.
No, it tastes different. Big time.
I asked, along the same lines, I asked one of my friends who's in the industry. I said, "Hey, we're just sitting around shooting the breeze. What pairs? What do you think pairs with this cigar the best?" And, I said, "What special drink?" And he goes, "Weller."
Weller goes good with
Weller
everything.
bourbon.
Yeah, well,
Weller goes good with
Weller
everything.
goes good with everything.
although no, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story about Weller. To be honest with you, like when years ago, like pre-COVID, and this probably like 6 years ago or so, like I wouldn't even. We would do an event and we would bring a bottle of bourbon to pair for, you know, a small gathering or something like that, like our select partners or whatever. And we wouldn't take Weller because you'd walk into like a Specs or a liquor store and there'd be like a mountain of it. And we didn't want to take, not because we didn't like it, but we just didn't want to take the first thing we saw. So the guy was like, the guy just grabbed the Weller right off the shelf. He didn't even try to think about this, you know? And now, you know, you can find like a circus bear on a unicycle more easily than you can find Weller, you know? So it's funny how that's changed with COVID and the growth of the bourbon, you know, enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Zach, if you find a bear on a unicycle at the liquor store, take pictures and send it to me, buddy.
Yeah. Share them with us all.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
brought that up because if you ever do want to study on pairing, we're available. We do it in our fancy back porch lounge.
You're givers.
We'll use the scientific method on it. You know, we have to have at least 5 cigars for each pairing. So, you know, we'll take care of it.
You guys, it's your cross the bear, you know? You guys are suffering for us.
We'll
appreciate
do it.
that. You're a good man.
Good Lord.
So what kind of scotch is your? Oh, go ahead, Andy.
No, go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to ask you,
No.
you mentioned peated scotch like it was maybe not your favorite, which I get because that's kind of polarizing a little bit in the scotch industry. But what is your kind of go-to scotch?
Well, I do like peated scotch. I just have to be in the mood for it. Like Lagavulin, I like Lagavulin. I even like Lafroig, but I can only have one. Like I can't drink it all night long. Like it would just be too much for me. But I do like peated scotch. It's not some. And for the cigar pairing, you have to be a little bit more discerning, you know, with what you put it with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the peat, especially like Lafroig, it just like will overwhelm all the flavor of the cigar. I like Aberfeldy 12 for the price is hard to beat. I drink a lot of that. I like Oban. I don't drink Macallan anymore really because they're anti-tobacco. So I kind of, you know, even though I think it's great, I don't want to support them. But those would kind of be the go-tos. For Irish whiskey, the yellow spot, green spot stuff. I like that stuff.
Nice.
Those are all ones I enjoy.
So on a personal note, you said you like Lagavulin.
Yes.
Have you had the Ron Swanson edition of the Lagavulin?
I have not.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Okay, Ron Swanson. He's a famous character on Parks and Rec.
Oh yes, yeah. I know who the character is. Yeah.
Okay, so he loved Lagavulin, and eventually by the end of the series, he had bought stock in Lagavulin, was a partner in it, all that stuff. So I was wondering if you actually had that one, because of course I can't find it, but I just thought that was.
I know some guys that they have all sorts of crazy stuff. I'll ask and see if they have it. The one I drink is the 16? 16 sound right?
Yeah, that's the most popular.
Yeah, 16 sounds right.
Yeah. That's the one I tend to. When I have Lagavulin is the one I have.
Yeah, I can't even get that around here. I don't know what it is about Georgia and shortage of nice things.
Yeah, well, I mean,
No, it's where you're at. Call me later. I'll tell you all about Coweta County and a lot of how all of that BS came about. Give me a call later.
Okay, we'll discuss it later.
Yeah, you're talking about a county that was essentially dry up until
last year.
After I moved.
Last
year before.
Yeah.
So you could buy beer and wine at the grocery store, and but that was it. You didn't find a liquor store in Coweta County until last year before.
last year, and even
Hell,
then,
they had a
it's at the end of the
Starship.
year.
But Andy,
Yeah, they had a
talking
Starship before they had a liquor store. I'm just saying.
this is true, but
Wait.
I'm talking about I can't get a Corojo either, man.
Well, that I might be able to
You
help you
also
with.
only
Like, the
had-
liquor store, I don't know.
Woo!
You also only had, at least in where you live, because remember I lived there for 10 years before we shipped to the other side of the state.
Yeah, we had one shop.
You only had one, maybe two shops.
One.
You
We had
know,
one
that had cigars.
Yeah.
And the guy that owned the place at the time was crazy. So
Well, that's a common theme too, by the way.
yeah, it is.
You
doubt.
have to be a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, you got to be a little nuts. In fact, it probably helps.
Anything dealing with the public, it helps being a little crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy.
Go ahead, Gibs. No, my brain's not working. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Zach has a question for you, Terrence.
Throw it at me.
He's brought it up on a couple of different episodes with different people because he likes to know, different opinions on it. Do you want to ask it, Zach, or you want me to ask it?
Oh, I don't know what question you're talking about.
So
You haven't been.
So you don't want to ask it, is what you're saying.
No, it's the take on the 70-70 rule.
Oh, yeah.
Really it depends. Oh, was that real? I'm sorry, you asked the question.
No. It's mostly just a general question about humidification, and the 70-70 rule shows up a lot of places. And then we had Michael Zales from Romacraft on.
Yeah.
And he has a different take on it. He was talking about heavier tobaccos can take more humidity. If I remember correctly, that was kind of his, like, the short version. And thinner tobaccos, maybe not as much. Do you have how do you generally run your humidor, and what's your professional opinion on the subject?
Yeah, so one, that's true. Like a Cameroons will require a little bit of a variation compared to a broadleaf or something like that. But I would say a big factor is also, like, where are you? Like, so for instance, in Florida, it's very humid. You may want to consider being a little bit lower so that when you open up the humidor and the humidity gets in, it's not if you're at 70, you don't want it to go above that, really, and that's easy to do in a humid climate. Whereas in, like, Arizona, you probably don't want it any less than 70, because every time you open that humidor, it's gonna suck all the humidity out. So I would say that those are things that you want to play around with a little bit. I think it's one of these trial and error things. It's like, depending on where you are and what you have in the humidor, you experiment a little bit. If your cigars start all cracking and everything, well, that's probably a bad sign. You might want to get a little bit more humidity in there. If you get a bunch of bugs and they're all squishy, well, too much humidity. Let's dial it back a bit, And so I think that there are some 70-70 is a fine rule. I think it's a good guidepost. I wouldn't say live and die by it, but it's a good way to start and see where you should be at.
Yeah. Well, getting on that subject.
What is that?
So getting on that subject, I've been doing a little test because in a past episode we've actually talked about using tupadors, using your standard cedar wood humidors, using your new fancier climate control systems. Which one's better for a budget, which one works out better. And we did give the advice that whenever you're using like a tupador or something like that, use Boveda packs that are certain already set to the certain humidification that you want. So what I tried in my experiment was I used the Humi-Care packs that you actually put distilled water into the tupadors, and I put them also into the cedar humidors to see what kind of difference you could get. And it's vastly different using the
Distilled
water in the Humi-Care pack or the Humi-Care jars for the cedar versus the tupador. When I say vastly, I'm almost like I think the tupadors are sitting at 77% humidification, where the cedar ones are sitting exactly at 70. So that is something to keep in mind whenever you are doing humidification. You may want to think about doing the Boveda in a tupador so it stays constant at where you need it versus the Humi-Care.
Yeah, and it's also, it's one of these things, how much time do you have to really spend on these things? Some guys, they don't want to have to be constantly tinkering with the humidor. Some people like that. They like getting it to the exact precision so that they'll be right where they, they'll have the most optimal experience possible. And other people, they like cigars, and they like to go in the humidor and take one out and smoke it, and it'd be, it'd be well taken care of, So I think that's a big part of it too. I mean, honestly, you guys probably know more about it than me, because I have a gigantic humidor at the office, which I use, and I don't have to keep track of whatsoever. So I put stuff in there. I do have a humidor at home, and I take care of it and everything. But most cigars that I save have sentimental value. I smoke most stuff that I get in a fairly reasonable amount of time, so that I'm not, I don't have like pre-embargo Cubans sitting in there that I'm trying to sell on the auction market in 5 years or something like that, or that I'm saving till I retire or something, whatever. So all those factors I think matter. And for me, like, based on the fact I have a gigantic humidor at the office and that I don't let stuff sit too long, I probably don't pay as much attention as other people do.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
and I've also found that light is a big factor when it comes to your tupador,
for sure.
your cedar.
Yeah.
Big-
Light is a big one, because you ever see the cigars with too much light in the humidor and you take the band off and it's like, a totally
a
different
tan.
color. Yeah. At a farmer tan. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
that.
I've
I
seen
won't
that
say
too.
that this. I won't say that this cigar had a farmer's stand, but it might have.
This one had a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes a little too much light in the humidor, that's not good either.
Yeah,
But that's okay. It's smoking deliciously.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
It's making an ash very well.
Speaking of that, where are we at on our cigars?
I'm on the
I'm on
last
the last puff.
inch and a half of mine.
All right, so we probably should
Mine,
review
mine
it.
just went out.
Mine's still going, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Great.
But yeah, let's go ahead and review them. So for you, Terrence, so we do one of 5 leaves. It's based on some stuff that it's not in my head right now because I'm enjoying this too much and just everything went out. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm enjoying this cigar. So from beginning to end, so far, well, I can't say end yet because it's not quite there, but it's been a constantly good cigar from Light. I have that classic Aganorsa taste. I'm enjoying the smoke. I mean, I don't want to put it down. I know when it gets to the nub, I'm going to probably break out the pick because I don't want to let it go.
So good you forgot your rating system.
That's it. So good I forgot my rating system. Actually, what we judged on.
That's a great
I know
cigar.
Yeah, exactly. Now, for this one, I am going to have to knock it out just a little bit because I do have a little bit of a construction issue. But it's not bad. It just kind of burst through the, I don't know if you can see that.
Is that from the band, or is that just a pop?
No, I didn't. I don't think I hit it with the band. That could have been it. You know what? I'll raise it back up just for you.
No, I'm just
Called it out.
I wasn't trying to bias you. It could
No,
be
that was
the band.
influence. That was influence. This is null and void. No. So,
You're fired.
yeah, I'm fired. So for this one, I'm going to give it a 4.75 because I am enjoying the hell out of it. I want another one like right now. So after this one, I want to light up another one, and I don't have another one to light up. So I might have to try something else. But it's going to be a 4.75 because I have enjoyed it. I love the smoke. The smoke is hefty. It's definitely a medium cigar, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And here lately, Connecticut's have been kind of light. This one is not.
It's a Connecticut
it's not
disguise, I call it. It's almost like, it looks like a Connecticut, but it doesn't have that Connecticut-y kind of acrid taste. It's got more body to it. I don't even like Connecticut's that much, and I actually smoke that cigar more than any other because I can smoke several of them, and they don't. When I'm traveling around, you hit 5-6 stores in a day, and again, which is nice about the business, the owner or the manager wants to have a cigar with you. And if you start saying, well, I've had a few cigars, I'm kind of going to take a break, the guy's kind of like, hey, I haven't seen you in a year. You don't come in my store, you're not going to have a cigar with me. So if you're smoking really heavy cigars, it kind of, can kill your palate. But I smoke those because I can enjoy them and then go to the next shop and have another one and enjoy it again. So I actually smoke that cigar more than any of our other cigars.
Yeah, and not be dizzy.
I believe it.
I agree with you there. So yeah, that's 4.75 for me. So how about you, Andy?
Damn it, Gibbs. Yeah. Words now. See, I feel like I'm on the spot. I gotta follow that.
Don't let the fact I'm staring at you have influence you at all.
No, not at all.
We're waiting, Andy. Damn it.
It's perfect. Everything's fine. It's smoked great. It tasted. Yeah, it's got that Aganorsa taste and feel to it. The Cerebus. I already have a love for like the Guardian of the Farm line. That's one of those that when I see it, I'll just pick it up. Not having had a bunch of the Cerebus, I really enjoyed this one. It's got that little extra kick to it. So for me, I'm with Gibbs. It's a 4 3/4, almost probably closer to a 5. I'd pick it up next time we're back in the shop. I'll probably pick another one up. Or if I see it, when I'm hitting the retailers, I'll pick up a 5-pack. But it smoked really well. No construction issues per se. A little bit of run, but that's probably because I have a mist curtain and freaking fans going because it's 90+ degrees out here in humid Louisiana. So
when you're from Miami and you go to a place and you say it's too humid, there's something wrong with that. Louisiana, I did that. I went there and I was like, man, this place is too humid for me.
The water table, 6 inches under the ground. It makes sense. There's a pond behind my house. So yeah, it's great. It's let's go 4.8.
Oh wow, excellent.
Very nice.
Just to beat Gibbs out.
Yeah. Good man.
Oh wow.
It's a competition. I'm changing mine to an
Rebel
11.
0.
All right, Graham, how about you, buddy?
My Maduro was very good. Smoke output was very good. It was very thick, flavorful cigar. I still have a tingle on my lips, and I have no idea what the hell that's about. But
on the lips or the tongue?
Lips.
The lips?
Lips.
Yeah.
That's serious. I have no idea. It's driving me insane though. So that's the only thing that, I don't know what to say about that. So I'm gonna go with 4.25. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would smoke again. I would recommend to people. I would tell them to smoke first chance they get. So yeah, it was great smoke.
This is the greatest day of our whole lives, and we're sharing together. Who would have thought?
Yay!
Amen. So we all.
All right. How about you, Zach?
Well, there's, like I said, it went out, and it has a feature that I hope for a cigar when I get to this point, and that's there was more of it. I wish there was more of it. And
That's a great quote.
Although I do appreciate that it's done, because it kind of, it adds a little value to it that it's over, and I'd want another one and not just sit there with the same one all day.
Always leave them wanting more.
Exactly. It did do exactly that thing. I tend to rate Aganorsa cigars pretty highly because the kind of the pepperiness in them is in the right balance for me, and it's a feature I definitely like about cigars. So I had no construction issues, no issues with the burn, other than I let it sit a little longer and it needed to relight it a little bit, which was a neat thing about the cigar. And I'm gonna give it a 5. If I see another one of these, I'm gonna pick it up because it was on
Very
point.
nice.
Oh wow, thank you.
That is awesome.
Pick up 2, Zach.
Great day of our lives.
Yeah.
Nice.
Talk about validated.
That's some fine
there we
validation
go.
today, guys. That's some
Fine
fine
validation.
validation.
Right.
I've seen a lot of validation in my day. This is some of the best.
we don't intentionally stroke your ego, but you guys make some pretty good stuff.
Oh, thank
Yes, you do.
Right?
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
But since you were kind enough to come on our show, is there anything you want to plug? Anything new coming out? Anything you know? Please have the floor. Plug it. Or
Yeah,
just say, hey, I loved hanging out with you guys. You're amazing.
Great day of our whole lives. How much more do you want? How much more do you want than that? Thank you for having me. Two, like one of the things that's nice about this is maybe there's some people out there that, thanks to you guys, are being introduced or hearing about Aganorsa for the first time. And our thing is always stay in touch. You know, that's the beauty of social media. It allows us to kind of reach people and stay in touch with them. As I said, I don't have a lot of great ideas. I like to hear from the guys out there validating. And so we have a group on Facebook, Aganorsa Acolytes, over 3,000 people nationwide, all over the country. Great community. Our YouTube channel, if you like what we're talking about, you want to see farms, fields, the story behind some of the Cuban guys, Arsenio, others, Jacinto Iglesias, Chandito Gomez, all these, about the brands, and then just fun stuff. We have a video where, I compete. We have a roller still in Miami, and we have a contest where I have to roll a Toro, and the time that she rolls 20 Lanceros, I lose.
I watched that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's it's fun. We try to keep it fun. So it's obviously fun watching me embarrass myself, but also it gives you an appreciation for how hard it is to roll a cigar. And so and these are just ways to learn more, but really stay in touch. And like I said, I don't have that many good ideas. I just listen to the feedback we get and try to utilize it to make myself look good. So. That's really all there is to it. So for anyone listening, we'd love to, stay in touch. And of course we have Instagram. I'm personally on LinkedIn. Whatever, some people like, one form more than another. It doesn't make any difference which one you're utilizing, just as long as we keep hearing from you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And talking about your
for some reason, you're at the top of my LinkedIn every time I open my LinkedIn. You're there.
That might be because I'm the only one posting on it.
So you know. Probably.
I'll take it.
But talking about your YouTube channel, you have some really good videos of you giving tips to people. The different cuts. There's quite a few videos of you just kind of giving little tutorials of. For new smokers, like how to pick your cigar, how to cut, how to light. What we've learned from that, by the way, is you can't tell people not to do things. You can suggest to people how to do it, but you can't say to them like you can't do that, because no matter how benign it seems, they'll get mad. Like so on the how to ash your cigar, we say don't jam it into the ashtray. I've never ever seen anybody that knows about cigars do that. I've never seen a manufacturer do that. I've never seen a retailer do that. I've never seen any consumer that has a fair amount of experience with cigars do that. And we put that video out, and I can't tell you how many guys were like, "Don't tell me how to put my cigar out. I can do it however I want." And it's like, all right, man, these are just suggestions. You don't have to listen to us, So that that's those videos too, and also it's a retrohale. All blenders retrohale. If you want to smoke a cigar the way a blender actually, meant the cigar to be enjoyed. We do a video showing people how to retrohale. So again, there's just a bunch of different stuff on there. You tell us what you found useful and valuable, and you can tell us what you hate too. Both ways. People are obviously fine doing either one. So. Yeah, absolutely. And I thought you did really well on those. That's why I wanted to at least point that out, because I watched them. It's a lot of stuff that we've covered on our show, but I'm like, you did it better.
Yeah.
So
wow, thank you.
Bravo.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, bravo. But of course, Aganorsa. That's how you say it, and it's a great product. So please, if you do see one at your local tobacconist or local shop that you go to, grab one. You won't be disappointed. I do warn you that some of them you probably want to have a meal on your stomach before you smoke them.
Yep.
Because they can get a little heavy, but they're good. They have a really good taste. You won't be disappointed. Try them out. And on that positive note, I'm going to say good night.
Thanks, guys.
See you.